Hi everyone, my name is Miss Delgado. I am a photographer, an educator, and a community organizer. And the purpose of this video today is to give you an introduction to the photography residency that we will be doing together. It is entitled The Best Part. It's a 7-day residency that will teach you how to use the camera, how to take portrait pictures or portrait photography, and also how to create a word art piece. The reason why it's entitled The Best Part is because this project is an opportunity for you to learn how to share through the visual arts the best part of you. And I'm excited about this project. I'm really excited about this process because we were chosen. I was chosen as an artist and you were chosen as a school, especially to do this project. It's paid for by a big energy company called Exelon. They have a headquarters in Chicago, and they want our art along with other student work all across the nation to be put in their headquarters as a permanent art gallery. So it's really very exciting. I'm really very excited about this project. So at the end of this residency, you will have created something that looks like this, which is the word art piece. So something that's mixed media. You will also get a photograph. So the photograph that I have back here on the wall is an example of the larger piece. So like how big it will be at the Chicago headquarters. But you'll get something a little bit smaller, probably about this size, as a photograph as well. So the final product or the final thing that comes out of this residency for you is this larger photograph that will be put in the headquarters, in the Chicago headquarters, with your word art, and then a photograph that's a little bit smaller, of a final photograph that's a little bit smaller. So again, I just wanted to introduce the project. Also wanted to talk a little bit about some of the materials that you received, so you have a better understanding of that. Wanted to also talk about our class schedule, some of the expectations from this residency, and then just kind of like somewhat of the format that you'll see in the Google Classroom. So yeah, so let's get started. So you should have received a photography kit bag that looks like this, and you also received your camera in a case of some sort, a charger, and then a manual of how to use the camera, and maybe a few other like cords or something like that. So you should have the charger, a manual, the camera inside of a case. And then also a photography kit. So with the camera, you'll notice that there is a number on the front of the camera, and that is your camera number. So this is going to be just as important as your name, and you'll notice in a lot of the documents that you've received that we'll go over in your materials bag in just a second, not only asks for your name, but it also asks for your camera number. So be sure to look at the front of the camera and make sure that you see a number there. If for some reason there's not, just let me know in the dashboard and we'll kind of figure it out, okay? In the camera, there's like a little area right here where you can just press open, and if you notice, there are two slots. There is an SD card slot. So the SD card is what records your images in the camera. And for the most part, you really don't need to take this out. So I would suggest just keeping it in so that it doesn't get lost, because if this gets lost, then I won't have access to your images. And then you have this little like sort of orange kind of dot, like you just push, and it slowly releases the battery. You see how that just kind of popped out? So this is the battery. Hopefully you won't have to charge it throughout the residency, but in case you do, just keep in mind that there is this triangle, and it shows you which way it should go in to the camera. So I was having a little trouble here. You have to kind of like push that orange thing in, and then you just slide it back in. And it also, that triangle shows you how to, because there's also a triangle on your charger, how to make sure that the battery goes into the charger so that it's charging. Now obviously if you try to charge the battery and nothing lights up on the charger when you plug it into your wall, then that means that you didn't put the battery in, that you probably put it in like this, okay? Same thing with the camera. If you did not put the battery in the right way, which this is the right way, so the Canon side of the battery should be facing the back part of the camera. If you didn't put it in, then when you try to turn your camera on, it's just not going to turn it on. So then just double check that the battery is in place correctly. But you're getting this camera fully charged, so really you shouldn't have to, but in case, that's just a little bit of information for you. But if you get a chance, just look through the guide, at least through the first couple of pages, just to kind of learn the main parts of the camera, or kind of navigate, play around with the buttons a little bit. We're going to have an actual day one instruction where we're going to talk more about the functions of the camera, but just kind of get yourself used to the camera strap, and then, you know, and all of the other things that are coming along with the camera. So that's the camera. So that's just the materials for the camera. So you know that. Then inside the bag, you should have this sort of clear bag with a few things in it. And then you also have this sort of like sandwich bag with a little cup that looks like glue, which it is, in the bag as well. So the first thing that you'll see in the bag is your photograph journal. This is a really important piece of paper because it's going to allow you to document your top images for each day of instruction. Okay, so as we're going through our lessons, it's going to allow you to record, and it'll give you the dates of the classes. It'll allow you to record the best images. So most of the assignments are going to ask you to take like 5 to 10 images, but this is just allowing you to only choose 3 of your top images that you've taken. Okay, so that's something that's really important, and it is something that I'll be asking back. I need it. You'll also have, you should have in your material bag some colored pieces of paper, and this is going to be for your word art piece. So it's not something you really need to worry about until the last 2 days of the residency, but again, just describing the things that are inside the bag. You should also have a watercolor set, which includes a brush. There also should be another additional brush, maybe 2 brushes, depending on how small they are, inside your bag. Don't worry about the brushes if you feel like they're too small. I'm also going to show you when we get to that point in the residency how to use some other materials you may have at home with your watercolor set to create your piece. You should have 2 pieces of watercolor paper. You're probably only going to need to use 1, but in case you make a mistake, you have an extra. And if you end up with extra, these will be things that you can actually keep and practice and use at home. A glue stick for any paper kind of materials that are going to be glued to your word art piece. And then the last thing in the clear bag is this black bag. And this is actually going to be returned back to the school because I'm going to be getting this checklist, this bag, your camera, and the photo journal that I mentioned earlier in here. And so then once you finish the residency, I'm going to get all of that stuff back so that this way I can go through all of your images, make a final decision about which image photograph is going to be chosen. And then and then they'll be printed. You'll notice on the bag there is a checklist that's attached to it that says items to be returned, and it's just a reminder that you'll be returning back to the school and to me the cameras, the photo journal sheet, and then your word art. So those are all the things that are going to be placed in this bag and then taken back to the school. The last thing that is in the kit is this very strong adhesive. It's called Well Bond. It's actually so strong it could even keep ceramic tile onto something. So really important that you wipe up the space if you use it. But anyway, it's going to be used for some items, some loose items around your home that we're going to add to our mixed media piece. If you notice, this piece here has like little gemstones glued to it, so like more three-dimensional kind of objects. So these things can be like maybe an earring that you don't want anymore, or maybe a coin, or maybe a Lego piece, or whatever things that are kind of connected to you. And again, we're going to have an actual lesson on this word art piece, so we'll be able to talk more about it, but wanted to explain and describe the materials that you're receiving. Again, the things that are going to be returned back to me are just those three things. So everything else that you've received in this kit, outside of the camera, the photo journal sheet, and the word art piece that you create, you actually can keep. And so I hope that you enjoy this project and get inspired by it, and maybe you'll want to make or create something more and outside of that. So now that we've talked about the materials and the camera, the last few things that I wanted to discuss were just kind of like the setup that I'm hoping the classroom will have. So you'll always have a video, some form of instruction. There will also be a link to any kind of handouts that are related to that particular day of instruction. But I'll also have sort of a space on the classroom where there are just handouts that I've mentioned in the past, or maybe extra copies of handouts that I've given to you, like the photo journal or the item checklist or class schedule. So you can always look back. If you have a way to print and you need to print, you can always have access to that that way. And then I'll also try to include like visual examples and images. So like I said, for this particular introduction, it's going to just be some visuals of stuff that I've done, so photographs that I've taken, so you can see some of my work. I'll also try to put in the classroom some visual examples of this project that I've done with other students, so you can see some examples of their photographs and their word art pieces. So it's going to be the video, it's going to be any of the handouts, and then visual examples. So let's talk really quickly about the class schedule. So far I created a class schedule just for the first 3 days of the residency. So the introduction day, day 2, and then day 3. If you notice, or when you get a chance to look at it a little bit more, you'll see that I've listed the day, I've given a title of what that day is called, and the actual day of the class. There's also a section for homework. So for this particular day, just want you to look, watch the video, of course, look through the document links, also look through just the materials, and if you have any questions, you can go ahead and put them on the dashboard, and I'll be checking for any questions between today, the 15th, and then all the way up through till Tuesday, May 19th for day 1. Then on day 2, we will be talking about an introduction to the camera, and that will be on Wednesday, May 20th. And then there's a homework assignment for day 2 that I'll bring up on day 2. And then also the due date. And then again, day 3 homework and then due date. I'm going to be updating this. I don't want to put all of the dates out because I want to make sure that you guys are just sticking to the days, really focusing on the tasks and the projects that are at hand. And then you'll have, so the way that it's going to work is that we'll have class Wednesday and Friday, and then you'll have almost a complete week. So the due dates for day 2 and day 3 are Tuesday, May 26th. So you'll have almost a complete week to work on these projects. So to take these pictures and then to go through them and then to write them in your photo journal. And so I think that that's pretty much it as far as our introduction. I'm not sure if I mentioned this or not, but I'm also going to have like some links to some like local photographer pages and like museums. So just things that you can kind of look at during the residency that kind of interest you and help you to create and make art. So I'm really looking forward to what we're going to be creating together, and I'm so excited for this project, and I can't wait to get started next week, Wednesday, May 20th. Have a great weekend and be sure to try to create. Bye-bye.